Alright, hello and welcome to my 1 year review of CS2. The birthday was this past Friday, the official release birthday. The game was sort of alpha, beta released, whatever you want to call it, back in March of last year. And right now, I'm just going to kind of go over it. I'm going to have gameplay in the background of a match from 5 years ago I had on Train. That's what should be playing right now. But as a whole, I'm going to go through and look at the state of CS2 and kind of just review it. First off, we'll go with probably my favorite and probably everyone's favorite game mode, Premier. It's a great game mode. It replicates sort of the pro match sort of set. Everything's a best of one. You do a pick ban phase. I think that's pretty nice. I like it a lot. The map pool is a bit to be desired. I like the overpass. That's no longer part of it. Dust 2 is back. That's more on the competitive side. But I'd say it's pretty helpful. It's a fun game mode. It's a great way to learn all the maps. It's if you want to have a very good varied map pool to play on. You don't want to just play on, let's say, Nuke or Dust 2 the whole time. You can get a whole bunch of random stuff. I think Premier's a great idea. Faced's had it for a long time. That kind of mode. They kind of had it in CS:GO, but it really wasn't that popular, if I remember correctly. But the biggest there's a lot of problems so far. One of those is that we're still in season 1 of the Premier Group. We had sort of a season 0 during the beta where you'd still rank up and stuff, but things didn't carry over to season 1. And I was under my impression, and probably a lot of people, that by now we would be into season 3. We would be done with season 2 by now, and we're still in 1, which it doesn't really matter, I guess, in the grand scheme of things. If we just stay, in the same season, you don't even need a season, you just stay in the same group, that's probably fine. Maybe Valve's coming from that mindset of maybe that's what they want to do. But generally, we're still in the first season. And then the next thing I want to bring up with the seasons themselves is that what's the reward other than getting on the leaderboard when a season ends? Do you get like a little pin that says top 1,000 in season 1? What do you get? Is there an in-game reward? Is it like like a little pin that you can put in your profile? Do you get some kind of maybe like a certain case? I don't know. Just what's the other than getting the rank itself? What's the point of really climbing leaderboard other than just to have your name up? I think in Overwatch, when I played that for a little while, you would get like a little pin from like playing in the season or something like that. We already get the what is it? The little year pins, 2023, 2024 pins for playing and like getting one rank in the year, which is fine, but that's been a thing for years now. It's been for a while, but otherwise, it's great that we have the seasons. I guess it was a good idea, but they've not done much with it since the launch of the game. Next thing, I guess, is the matchmaking can be a bit uneven at times. You'll play with somebody who's of the same rank as you. Maybe if you're like in 9K, or like if you're 15, you can watch some of these videos of other people. Not just my videos, but other people, and then there are people who just don't know what's going on. They have no sense of mechanics at all. They can't aim. They don't really know any utility. Their movement is very bad. They're just so out of it. And then you get some who are just they were like global elites on CS:GO, and they're like in an 8K lobby, and it's like, what's going on? Why is this guy here? Why isn't he much higher? And you can like go to the CS website for stats that I do to check everything. It's like, oh, because they were like a global elite before, they were like a face at level 8, or they are right now, I guess. And so it's very it's the algorithm's a bit messed up. It's like the algorithm is messed up, and they need to work on that. I think when season 2 begins, they need to tweak the algorithm, and I think that have to look at. I don't even know if we really need a season 2, because you're gonna have to get ranked again, and if you have to climb back all the way up, if because I started all the way back in 1K, and I worked my way back up into the 10K area, 10K.5, and that's nice, but it's it's a bit spotty. It's like I said, you can get matched with people who are really good teammates. They know utility. They know how to aim, for the head, just to get good shots. They're very confident, and then you get others who are they're just clueless. It's like they're playing on a trackpad. It's so out of whack, the ranking system. It's very odd, very very odd right now. Also, the pick man system can be a bit odd, and so can team queues. You can get queued with like a against a 5 stack. You're just random 5 people, and you can still beat them. But the odds are still against you in that way because you've got 5 people who will probably be in a Discord or TeamSpeak who are communicating well. Maybe they have set strategies they like to pull off on T side. They have their protocols on CT ready. And if it's a group of 5 who have some experience, or maybe even they just queued in a lobby, they have a slight advantage just from a communication standpoint, organization standpoint, and people who just solo queued. And if you're solo queued, you're lucky to get a team filled with people, for others that can talk and communicate. Half the time, it seems like you maybe get 2 people, and you're lucky to get 2. It's very difficult to get the whole team to communicate, and they're not complete, jackasses or something like that. It's difficult to get to get a decent team where people just communicate. It's so iffy, and I get that you can't matchmake for that. You can't, it isn't like with I think the Mythic League that Flom is a part of, or I guess he set up whatever he's in charge of, where Discord communication is enforced. You can't do that with CS. I doubt Valve wants to do that. They'd partner with a third-party app like a TeamSpeak or a Discord, and I don't blame them. You don't need it. It's. I guess it's meant to be casual, but the leaderboard kind of changes that. But it's a bit odd, just from if you just because in other games it's you easily if you're like in a 4 stack, the game will try to match you with somebody who's of that same type of 4 player stack, or you're in a 3 stack. It's just other games would just prioritize that, and that's probably the thing they can simply do on like a server playlist or something like that, where they can just like, okay, check these boxes. It's in a if you're in a 4 stack, it's gonna take longer, but you just say, hey, you're a full team. It might take a little bit of time to find a match, and that's normal. If you tell that to somebody, it's like, okay, that makes sense. You want to have some parity, some evenness in a match. I think that's a good idea. But generally, I think Premier is a success. The map pool is a bit sus, but I think that just goes with competitive as a whole right now, which I guess I'll get into. I don't think I have much else to say about Premier. I think I've got it. Just the matchmaking can be a bit off. But with competitive, it's a great way to play the community maps. We've got 2 right now. We've got Thera and Mills. They're fine. I haven't really played them that much. It seems that Thera has the best queue times. But Thera's been, has been in the public consciousness for a while. I think it's FM Pones or Volcanoes. And I apologize if I got the names wrong. It's one of their maps. It's been in the works for a while. I think it was actually in Global Offensive before I got ported. But generally, it's alright. We only have one hostage map, and that's Office. We had Agency before, and maybe one other one. I can't remember it though, in Global Offensive. But we only have one, and the map pool there is still kind of small. We have Overpass. It's the only way to play Overpass. So if you want to practice it, but then you get into the occasion if you're unranked like me, and you haven't played in a while, you might get matched up against a guy who is just super good. It's like a sweaty try-hard guy, or just someone who's just much more skill, and it's just not fun, especially if you're unranked, and a lot of those players are typically new. That's something that you just have to just realize that a lot of these players, who might be playing competitive are very new, and so it makes sense for them to be unranked and to be not the best players in the world. It makes total sense. When you get matched up with 1 or 2 people who are just amazing, either you don't get any kills or you get killed a whole bunch. That's what usually happens. But generally, yeah, we need more maps. Overpass is the only way to play Overpass. Only one hostage map, Office. Italy, you can only play in casual, which I guess I'll get into in a little bit. But generally, it's fine. It's a lot easier to get ranked. They did an update a few months ago. you need to get 10 wins on one map to get ranked up. Now it's just you need to get 2, and that's much more logical. I would have argued you just don't even need to get the wins. Just bring over the old Counter-Strike, global offensive ranking where you would just play and whatnot. I would have just done that. It still would have been on a map by map basis, but it probably just play one map and that's your rank, and then maybe it's a bit harsher. It's easier to just rank up or derank in a sense. That's what I would have done. Casual's fine. It's you can play the casual game modes there for bomb diffuser, hostage. Yeah, it's nothing's really changed from global offensive. It's generally the same thing. Nothing really bad about it. It's sort of a fun little game mode to just mess around in. That's really it. Deathmatch is kind of a mess right now. I'm gonna get into deathmatch. I wish they had brought over team deathmatch, because that's probably the only one that I would consider playing deathmatch now. All I do for deathmatch, I just play on by like a local bot thing. I just pick a map and I just shoot bots and that's it. Because it's ridiculous when you're in a filled up deathmatch like Valve server and it's like 20 something people and it's just nigh impossible to get anything done. There's no way you can get better because there's just so many people and you're constantly getting shot in the back, or you're spawning, then 2 seconds later you're dead, or you get a kill and then you're killed. It's so chaotic. It's not really the most fun. At least it isn't for me in my own experience. The maps they've always been too small for 20-man deathmatch. They were never designed, for that many players. Casual, it's different. It's casual for a reason. But and you're also not facing 19 other people in casual. It's usually against 10 others. Usually, that's it makes casual so nice. Is it's a bit more fun. It's a lot more relaxed. But with deathmatch, it's ridiculous because you're having to face 19 other random people, and they're also having to do the same thing to everybody else, and it's chaos, and it's not a good way to practice. You either want to just play against bots or like pay for a premium practice server from like a third party company that's out there. It generally, if they had brought back Team Deathmatch, I'd probably make it a lot more popular, just for the fact that it's just so chaotic right now in regular deathmatch. And I guess next is Arms Race. We only have 2 maps for it. We didn't have Arms Race until February of this year. So generally 6 or so months ago is when they introduced it. Before that, we didn't have, all we had was Premier and Comp and Casual. You had in Deathmatch. We had nothing else before it, And then the maps we only got 2. We had like 6 or 7 maps in Global Offensive. Some that were classic maps, like Lake House, Safe House. I think it's just called Lake. And then Safe House. Those are some maps that we had. Classic maps for Arms Race, fun levels. We just have Baggage and the Ancient Knockoff, Ruins, whatever it is. I forget what it's called, but we only have 2. And then we added Pool Day as a community map, and that's probably the most fun because it's the most chaotic. Which is, I guess, fine for Arms Race because it is a very chaotic game mode. It isn't like the deathmatch mode. And the map's also very small. It's not meant to be very serious. It's a classic 1.6. It's a classic Counter-Strike map, but it's fun that it's, in a sense, officially part of the game. In a sense, it's the community map. Valve didn't, port it. Some creators did, and that's great. I'm glad the creators did that. But generally, Arms Race needs more levels. You're still missing Danger Zone, which is probably other than competitive and global offensive, I'd say it was tied with my favorite mode to play. And it's a shame that we don't have it because I really liked it. And considering what everyone said about the port from Go on Source 1 to now Source 2 for CS2, it seems like the biggest issue we've had, well, probably the heaviest porting of the maps because of how the maps were done. So I think I forget who did the video, but the way the levels were designed in Source 1, in a sense, for Global Offensive, it was very, they had to cheat in a way to get these big maps to work in the engine. An engine so old that it was back in like 2000. It was developed in the early 2000s. It lasted 20 years, which is a very, very long time for any engine whatsoever. So I could see why might take them a while to port. And then I saw a post on Reddit, maybe I'll try to find it and put it on screen, about it isn't a priority because people didn't play it, which is sad because I liked it. I know I think a lot of people like Danger Zone, and every once in a while I'll see a post saying they miss it, and it was a fun alternate game mode. It surprised me that more people didn't play it more, because I would think it would have been the second most popular mode after the competitive game. Maybe more than casual, more than deathmatch, arms race, but I like Danger Zone. They did some good work on it. It's changed a lot over the years. The adding of the respawning and stuff was nice. There were some nice community maps they've added, and when it was Black Site and I forget the name of the desert one, the Mirage sort of theme. That was a good level. And then we had the, I guess the Italian theme. That was maybe community map. And then you had the kind of like on a volcano. I forget what they are. It's been a year since I've played Danger Zone, so forgive me for not remembering all the name of the maps. But we had at least four. We had four levels there, and they would be in a 10-minute rotation. So you'd always have a chance to, oh, I don't like this level. I can play if I wait a few minutes, I can wait for the rotation to pop in, and I'll get a new level. So that was a good way to just have fun, spend 20-30 minutes of your day. Maybe after a long session of just competitive, you'd go play that, and it's nowhere to be found. It's a real shame, because we have a case based on it, and we have a whole weapon, the Lab Rats MP5, which is not really the most expensive thing, but it's a cool little memento from that season, from that time period. So we're lacking in a lot so far. We're lacking in a lot for content right now. We just have arms race, casual, comp, and premier 4, and then deathmatch. I'm sorry, we have 5, and we're just and some of those game modes they aren't even up to full strength. Like I said, arms race 2 levels, technically 3, but only 2 official Valve levels. And then deathmatch is a mess. It's a big fat mess. I won't mince my words. It's a mess. Yeah, but for the moment, yeah, we're lacking in content, and I would have thought maybe by now we would have had a bit more. And we've only had 2 official new maps. They're not even new. They're just ports, in a sense, or whatever, rebuilds, whatever you want to call them, from Global Offensive. And we're still missing. It's lackluster. And then speaking of content, let's get into content. Let me turn the page. So I have all this written down. In-game content, we've had one case. That's back in February. It was the Kilowatt case. It's a fine case. It's nothing fancy. The blues are fine. The purples are fine. The pinks are really good. And the reds are really good. So overall, it was a good case. The kukri knife is fine. I think the hype sort of fell off. I don't think people really like the kukri. I don't like the animation of when you whip it up. You take it out. Everything seems like it's too fast. Like it's a bit. It doesn't fit the animation style of the other knives. Every other knife kind of just seems very calm in a sense. Not really jittery. The person wielding it is professional. It's not flashy, and that's what I liked about. There's the animation in some of the stuff, but generally everything doesn't. It's the uncanny valley. These animations feel like they're out of the uncanny valley. Like people wouldn't be, having the flair they did when they took it out or whatnot. It just feels off. Like this doesn't fit the whole idea of the game. And then other than that, just the one case. We went over some maps. We only have two really new maps. The other ones are community maps. Don't have a lot to work with, because the Danger Zone isn't here. We got 2 music collections. The first one was really good. That was the Night Mode music kit collection. Really good music kits. Those songs are played a whole bunch. I've seen it in videos of my own and others. Everyone, usually one person has one of those 6 or 7 kits. They released a newer one. I think it was last month in August. I think it was August. Could have been July, for all I know. And it's fine. It's a sequel to, I think it's the Renegades kit. Or it's Initiators. It's one of the two. And they're fine. I don't think anyone's really bought them. None of them really stuck out for me. The MVP themes are fine. I think Brent McDonald, his newest one, I liked it. It's like a kind of a Latin theme with a horn. That one's fine, but generally you've got one case. No new collections. I was expecting to get new collections for Italy, for Overpass, Office. Collections that have been around since they were introduced back in like 2013, 14. And it's you would think they would have added something by now, just to update it, because we have a Mirage 2, we have a Nuke 2, we have an Inferno 2, we have all these sequel collections, because all the collections before were from release. And so it would have made sense to just, hey, here's some new skins that you can get as in-game drops. Or maybe they'll be coming with the operation if that ever happens, which I guess we'll get into now. When it comes to content, no operation yet. It's been a year. I'm in, if it's happening, if it's gonna happen, it'll happen. I would think, because people are clamoring for it, they want an operation. It's easy money for Valve. The viewer pass, the ability to buy stars, the new case that would come with the people who buy the keys for the case. There's all maybe new agent skins, and there's all kinds of reasons why Valve should do an operation. It's just we're just having to wait. The gun buddies have been teased. I kind of don't want the gun buddies. I think it's tacky, and it's just not gonna. I don't know. I don't. Maybe they won't be that big. They look like they'll be big. I don't want them to be too big. Generally, I'm not excited. It's something, I guess. People seem excited, but that's been teased for months, since back in like what was it, the before the whole 25th anniversary, I guess, debacle, where all the hype was up for like 25th anniversary, 25th anniversary. We're gonna get new content. We're gonna get the gun buddies. We're gonna maybe get an operation, and then all we got was a post on X and other social media for Valve. And then people got very upset because they were hyped up by third-party community people who were just reporting the facts. They never gave a timetable for when they were coming out. Valve never did. I think it was a bit. Everyone was very disappointed because they were expecting something big, and it would have made sense. Just 25 years, and we're just a lot of people, including myself, are waiting for an operation. I've only been able to participate in one, and that was Shattered Web. I didn't really play CS before that, and I stopped in 2020 just because I was too busy with work to play CS anymore. So I kind of just put it off to the side. But generally, I think it's been over 3 years. It's been over 3 years since we've had an operation, and that was Riptide. Which really, I think that's probably the longest this community has gone without any kind of big in-game like event. Other than like the major stuff when we get stickers and a viewer pass, there's no real big community-wide event that everybody can, once you pay like $15 for the pass, you can participate in, complete missions, co-op missions, and you get forced to play maps you don't normally play to help, give some of these maps some attention. But generally, it's we're lacking in content. It's a bit disappointing, and I would hope they're working on bug fixes, or they're just getting these things worked out. But generally, we're lacking in content. Valve needs to really. I don't know. They just need to just work on the game more. I'm sure they are. I'm sure that it's just it's a year. It feels like everything's going at a snail's pace. It's at the time of this video, it's August. It's September 29th. It's been over 2 weeks. It'll be 3 weeks, I think, on Tuesday, since you've had any kind of an update, any kind of a patch to fix anything, any kind of new bug that's maybe being fixed, an error. You would think we would have had at least something small. There must be like a small bug they would have fixed that they're aware of, but for the moment, there's just nothing. It's very slow going so far when it comes to updates. Like I said, it's almost been 3 weeks. And I was expecting there to be something else by now, but I guess that's not the case. Let's go into, I guess, I'll talk about the inventory. It's really easy to manage your inventory now. You can select things by sort of class, by pistol, SMGs, the heavy category rifles. So you can organize things by sticker, cases, containers. Everything's super easy to manage. So if you have a large inventory, like myself or other people who have one, it's super easy to just manage that now, which is a great thing. That's a really good thing about CS2 is the ability to easily manage the inventory through the category system. I think that's really helpful. But now I guess we'll get into the in-game issues, and I guess it wouldn't be wise of me to not mention the cheating, which it's I think the bigger issue though is I think the netcode. The picker's advantage is really strong here. It is difficult to hold angles. I was watching a demo. I got swung hard with a deagle, and it was like an instant headshot. Like I had no chance. I thought I was a hacker. Turns out, as if you go back and watch the demo, he had like a half second, which is longer than I thought it was, to adjust his deagle and get me right in the head because I was holding an angle with a scout, and thinking all I needed to do is get one hit and he's dead. And he just swung at me, and it was just so fast that I had no chance to shoot, no chance. And it's because the netcode isn't the best. And Twist on a recent episode of Talking Counter, he mentioned it. And he's a very respected member of the CS professional community. Great player. And the netcode isn't the best. If you're playing somebody with bad lag, I think what's supposed to happen is that they have a better chance of swinging you. I'm not sure, but just from my experience, the netcode's a bit iffy. I was watching some old videos, and I literally saw a guy, and I'll try to get the clip for you. He jumped. His player position literally moved forward, and it made it more difficult to hit him. I'll find the clip and I'll put it over this video. But that's one thing that doesn't make any sense. It isn't like he like maybe his speed increases for whatever reason. He teleports, and you can see it. I shouldn't even have to slow it down. He just teleports. And that was from like a few months ago, 2 months ago. I don't even. Maybe that's been fixed since then. As I've not been able to keep up with it because we work a full-time job to keep up with things like these. But that's a no bueno. You can't have that in a game. Like that's just not a good look. Like if you die to somebody like that, it's like, well, how do you counter that? You really can't counter it. But cheating though, this is more about just the spin botters and stuff. It's not the more sneaky cheaters. It's just the more the blatant stuff. Maybe it's gotten better. I know VAC 3 is out, and it's the Reddit is filled with people being accused of cheaters, and maybe the spin botters have stopped. It's not as blatant, but for the longest time, it was a very difficult problem that the game had. It was just blatant, rapid fire cheats, aim lock, trigger bots. It was very blatant, very easy to point out. You didn't have to go through a demo review. It was, spin botting. It was very easy to detect. Maybe it's slowed down by now. I don't know. If you have any evidence that it hasn't, please leave a comment in the video. I'd like to hear from any of you about my critique of the game so far. As a matter of fact, it'd be nice to hear. But yeah, cheating is. I say that's the biggest issue is getting rid of the very easy to detect cheats. And like I said, maybe they've done it, maybe they haven't. I don't know. The jumping can be inconsistent still. Jumping can be a bit messy. Since the jumping is still a bit buggy. Now the boost bug was fixed. That wasn't fixed by Valve. That was fixed by a community contributor, which is what I guess I'll call him. I think it's Pogu is his name. Great guy. He was VAC banned while trying to test the whole spinning around really fast, and that got detected as a hack, and he's not been unbanned since. He was just testing things, and it says a lot about someone who's been VAC banned, and I guess I could say falsely, and he's contributing to fixing bugs. And he got the boost bug fixed. There's a ragdoll bug. I won't try to explain it because I'm not the best at it. I understand it, but I'm not going to try to explain that. That's one. There's another one. I think it's the whole walking through water, and you're not running through it. You're walking through it, and you make a water slosh sound. I think I forget whose video it was. I think YouTube suggested it to me, and I was just watching it, and it's something about ragdolls. What a surprise! That's what the boost bug was about. That we now have the same problem with this water bug, and it's fairly recent. If we didn't have it, I didn't feel like we had it at launch. Something has happened over time that's happening. You could walk through overpass, and I would have no problem. Now you hear it, and it's a matter of, well, is it server side? Can everyone hear it, or is it me? Is it client side? Can I only hear it, and no one else can hear it, and it's just a weird bug that we have? I don't know. We have all these we have some of these problems. I will say this: the smokes are really good. I didn't mention this earlier. I guess I should now. The smokes are nice. It's nice to pop smokes. They fill. They can be a little bit inconsistent at times. It feels like if you throw them in the same spot, they don't take the same shape or form every time. And I don't know why. Because you can like maybe throw the CT gap on a smoke for dust too, and you can throw it in the same spot. It feels like certain spots are more filled than others than the previous attempt when you threw it. But generally, it's yeah, I'd say it's fine. They're great. It's a nice addition. They look much better than the old CS:GO smokes, which were just two-dimensional sprites that were server side because it would reflect how you would look at them, and if you were to look at a CS:GO smoke, you could generally see where the sprites were and how it would reflect you like any kind of like in the classic Doom games, Doom 1 and 2. But the jumping can be back to the jumping. I'm sorry, I think I got off track. The jumping can be a bit odd, and I think it's also a server issue. I won't get into the subtick that much. I think subtick is fine. I never really played Face It 128 tick. I think it's fine. I'm not a big movement guy, so I can't comment on that. The smoke throwing is fine. Generally, if I mess up a smoke, it's my fault because I forget to hit jump. And he says because I'm a little bit nervous. A lot some pressure. Which is you would expect. But generally, I think it's I never really use the binds anyways too. I'll say that. Never really a big bind person. All the console commands, and then some other side stuff. Some sort of miscellaneous. The left hand, you probably can tell with my newer matchmaking videos. I'm playing left-handed now. I think it's fine. That was added at some point in the summer. Big demand for that. They've changed the bob mechanics for how you hold your weapon 2 times. The first time you had the sort of the meme riding, like riding a horse. It looked like it's what I thought when I mean like I'm coming on an animal. And then they changed it to something else, and it feels like it's maybe the same as it was in CS2. That never, the bob never really bothered me in the first, but I thought that was fine. It's never really was an issue. Generally, that we've had that, and then we've had some other stuff too. I think maybe it was just the bob and that, and then and the ability to just really move the view model into weird spots. People who have their gun centered or like really up close to the screen. That's for people to use in their own personal use. That's perfectly fine. But generally, for the moment, I'd say the game is fine. I'd give it a C. A 5 or a 6 out of 10. It's playable. It's average. There's nothing really bad about it. Nothing really good about it. It's the shooting is fine. The tracers, I know people don't like the tracers because they don't match, and they kind of don't match. They're a bit whiffy. But generally, I'd say the game is in a fine state. It's not great, but it's not like unplayable. It's not terrible. It's fine. Oh, I get one thing I'll mention. It's sort of a small thing. Is the community browser? It's not in game. You have to go to your desktop and pick it there. And I think I was just looking at it right before I started to record this segment, this whole video, and I found out that there's a lot of these like I'll call them scam servers. I'll probably have to get video of it to show it because it was just weird. If I can show it, if I can find them again. But it's just like this. They seem like if you were to go into these servers, you were going to get your account hacked. Like you're going to lose access. It's like these weird like scam servers. I guess is what I'll call them. You have to be wary of those. And think Go had the same problem though. But the fact that the community browser isn't in game, you have to go out of the game. And I think Jesus or maybe it was Anomaly. They mentioned it in their video. That you have to not only get out of the game to join a community browser if you want to like play like a zombies mode or a surf mode or something like that. Like you have to literally leave the game, which It's a bit odd that you would have to do that when almost every other game, if you want to like to find a community server, you would just, I mean, you can do that in Source. You can do that in Source, no problem. You just float up and you find a server. Oh, this is the deathmatch server. I'll play this. It's easy. And to this, it's like, why does it have to be out of the game? There must be a reason why that you have to click out. If they don't want you to, to play it, you keep it out of the game. Fine, that would make sense. But I don't think they'd want to do that. It'd be counterintuitive, And why would you do that? It's community servers have been a part of CS since its inception, since 1.6, and Swords, since Global Offensive, and even Condition Zero. It's how the game has grown so well and become so popular all over the world. It's because of community servers. So it's like I said, the game. I guess as a final review, I can't think of anything else. Let me check the notes. Let's check the notes. Yeah. Oh, I guess I guess for other game modes, Demolition, Flying Scoutsman. Didn't really play those. Yeah. Will they be added? I doubt it. Just because they weren't really that popular to begin with towards the end of Go, and it's because the game modes just weren't really the best, the most fun. Demolition was a fun way to try to get to unlock the achievements you needed, and then Scoutsman I think was infamous for just having bots and hackers. Generally, yeah, I'd say Final score 5 out of 10, C average. I know. Why'd you give it a 5 and C is a 7? Well, it's because it's middle of the road. It's two stars out of 4. It's fine. It's a fine little game, but yeah, it needs some work. Hopefully by this time next year in September, we'll be in a much better state. But for now, I'm going to end this audio recording, and I'm going to let you finish the rest of this amazing train game. So thank you for listening to me babble for about 30-ish minutes, almost 40 minutes. Have a good rest of your day. If you liked it, please leave a like. If you didn't, don't dislike it. Leave a comment why you didn't like the video, if you had any problems with my critiques, or if you liked my analysis of the game, which is very everywhere, because I was just ranting for about 40 minutes. But either way, have a good day. Happy birthday, CS2. Wasn't the best birthday, but it wasn't the worst. I would have liked to post on X, but that's okay. No big deal. Like I said, 5 out of 10, C average. I'll see you guys soon. Have a good rest of the morning, day, or night, whenever you're listening to this video. Have a good one.